Hello everyone, I hope you all are well. Today I'm going to talk about um, those charts where it is kind of inaccurate or the client has no proper data of their birth details. Some of them have their birth time wrong or they have no idea what their birth time is. Some of them do not even know their birthday. So such examples are those who are born in rural areas, villages, where there was no calendrical system or there was no need to actually follow stringently the astrological system, so no one actually recorded such things. But as they are going through life and face challenges, so they come to me at times to talk about what it is that they're going through. But the most important thing is to generate a birth chart so that we know the planet that's ruling them, what dasa, bhukti, whether they are going through Ashtama Sani or any other Saturn or 8th house challenging time, right, and so on. So let's not sidestep on the subject. Let me show you an example where it is kind of difficult to ascertain what the person's chart is. So I'm going to show you an example on the screen now. So we can say this is a sample chart I just generated just for this video. So we can see that it's a Taurus Lugnam, Rishabham here. This table just shows a few of the planets, but the most important one for the subject is actually Rishabham being the Lugnam, and we can see that the Lugnam just entered to this house, this Rasi house, which is 1 degree 5 minutes. And we know in every house, so it will be 30 degrees in each house, so you have 360 degrees, 12 houses, corresponding to each house ranging from 0 degrees to 29 degrees, 59 minutes, 59 seconds. And then once it rounds up to 30 degrees, it's kind of a Lagna Sandhi, as they call it in the Sanskrit term, meaning that it's the wall of the house, or it could be either here or there. So this native who has just got Vrishabham Lagnam happening, if this person was born 3 minutes before, um, this person would have a Lagnam of Mesham, which will be here instead of Vrishabham. Now, I should point out that although it'll be at the end phase of the Mesham Lagnam, it doesn't matter. The most important thing is we have to establish whether it is Mesham or Mesham or Rishabham, and the planets that rule them, whether they are friends or enemies, uh, house numbers, bhava numbers, and so on, would actually change. So the person who is going through this would actually experience different things in life. But astrological system must hold true because the Hindu or the Vedic system believes that in the Vedic sciences we are all born to actually burn off our karma or play out our karma. So we have our role to play, and the astrological system will actually reveal to us. So the good astrologer or the skilled astrologer should be able to read it. So in this fashion, establishing the Lugnam, the first house, is critically important, so that we can establish what are the good houses, like house number 5 and 9, which are the Purva Punya Sthanam, versus that of the Dursthana houses, the negative ones, 6, 8, and 12. So which planet is dominating them, who is the significator, which planet is residing there. So all those inherently will change. So how do we establish that? Well, there are many ways, and the way I use, in fact, there was only 2 clients who came to me with such a request where they didn't know their birth time. They couldn't tell me if they were born in the daytime or the nighttime. And it's kind of rampant, right? If you go to India, and those who are born in the 50s, 60s, even 70s, early 80s. Time of birth would be something like, oh, I was born when the morning train will pass by our village, right? So what time is a morning train? Is it 8:30 in the morning, 11 in the morning, 2 o'clock? I mean, you establish it as morning, but your mother was giving birth to you. Your father was most likely in trade or working in farmland, and most likely you had a nurse or the village healers who were actually skilled in such things. So very hard to establish the time of birth. What is most critical, the most accurate description would be your life experiences. So that is one method is Q&A that I do, but let me show you another method that I have used with my clients. So palm reading is something that we resort to. I mean, I would have to say that it's a last resort. It is um, not to say contradictory to astrological system. We are specialized in this. I am specialized in reading astrology charts, Vedic charts, Rasi charts. Palm reading is a whole universe by itself, and it'll take years and years to establish a skilled practice in it, right? So there is science, there is accuracy in this. Very few of the mystics or the astrologers actually cross certain planes like astrology and palm reading together. But there have been instances where I have used it. And let me show you an example here. So the one that we saw earlier, the chart where the Lugnam was just stepping in from Mesham to Rishabham. And I've asked that native to actually take a picture of his palm and send it over. And what I'm most interested in is the center here, not necessarily the fingers, although there have been some reading can be done in that instance, but again, that would require a skilled palmist. What I would actually look at is a few things, right? So you've got the bracelet line, and you've got other well-known lines like the heart line over here, right? And then you've got the lifeline over here, which is kind of important for uh, individuals who are experiencing health issues or some kind of a challenge that is going to be catastrophic, not like if you are going to miss a bank installment payment for your car for 1 month, right? So that's not going to be a huge impact on your lifeline per se, but there are those more, I mean, there are those of us who are going through a really negative period, right? And the reason why I ask these questions about palm, about that person's palm, is to look at what they are going through with this line in the middle, right? So this line is called a fate line, right? Fate, fate, as in a person's fate. But the meaning of that is varied and sundry. It's not the fate per se, what you're going to go through in life, but it's more the way I see it after doing some research on this, and I'm continuing my research into the matter. This fate line directly corresponds to anything to do with the second house of our astrological system, right? And we know that the second house is actually for the house of income capabilities. Income capabilities. And then, of course, you have to tie it with the house number 9 for Bhakyam and house number 11 for uh, Labam or profit. But this fate line, what it corresponds, or what it can tell me is if it is jagged or there are some hindrances along the way, or maybe the fate line actually doesn't start there, it starts somewhere over here. So that means it tells me the income capabilities of this person is from midlife onwards. And if it corresponds to, for example, again, the Mount of Venus, all right, so Mount of Venus over here, right? And then you've got the um, headline. So this is a headline, this is the lifeline, and this is the fate line, the one with the Y there that I'm most interested in while establishing the person's time of birth or what karma that they're going through. I have to point out here that your lines in the palm actually changes as you're going through certain karma. So this is kind of the final, uh, I mean, the buck actually stops here in establishing what fate you're going through. This is more relevant to what you have gone through. For example, if you had a childhood trauma where you were actually drowning in a river, for example, that is actually shown in certain lines in your palm, right? But what do I look at is fate line starting midway, and if it's close to the lifeline or to the Mount of Venus over here, which I marked with an X in green, Mount of Venus, and the Y over here is actually Saturn, right? So actually that's not a good color there, but let me change it to Saturn's dark blue. I'm just circling there. Center fingers for Saturn. Uh, the one next to that, oh, this is Jupiter. Then you've got the Sun or Apollo, right? And then you've got Mercury. Right? But most importantly is this Y, it has to be forked, right? If you want to have good income capabilities. But what I actually, again, coming back to my venture into this, is actually to establish how challenging it was in your life to actually make an income. What kind of income capabilities? Was it easy for you? Did you not have to work and everything came to you with minimal effort? Or did you have to work hard for it? So if you had a really jagged, I think it would be best to just rub everything off and just go through it. So straight line over there, right? You can have crisscrossing of the headline, right? And then you've got your heart line over here. Another thing that I can establish is if that person, that native who has come to me, my client, uh, if they are actually going through some ailment and anything to do with the heart, for example, uh, just this is the heart line over here, right? So I'll just give a very rudimentary heart shape. So heart line, if you're going through a heart issue, if you're a cardiac patient at the point of time, for example, your heart line would actually turn bright pink to red. That means your heart is taking in a lot of blood or can go in reverse. It's becoming very pale as compared to the other lines. This will be clearly visible. It will be so observable to the naked eye. It is changing, right? So these lines would be my go-to when things go really south when reading a person's chart. Now, again, I mentioned that this is to establish what has happened in the past so that we can ascertain the person's Lugnam, Rasi, get a proper estimate of time, right? Because if I ask someone who is 75 years old at what month and year they got married, they may get the year correct, but they can't tell me the month. Perhaps someone who's born about 70, 80 years ago. Right? For example, I mean, not to say that the youngsters would know as well, but these things are clearly visible in our lines of the palm here. So heart line is a good indication of what is happening in our heart. And then you've got, again, I said the headline over here. Oops. So headline in the middle that establishes what do you think about life, and also, again, this is more in tune with our lagna, right? And then the fate line that goes in the middle here with the Y. Some of us have it. Some actually do not have it, and that's fine as well. Doesn't mean that you're not going to have an income capability, but we know this is second house and so on. So I'll just use this kind of indication when the situation arises. Rare, but there are tools such as this that can be used. So I hope you have an understanding about what astrological reading is actually tied to other aspects of Vedic sciences. It's not a standalone. It can be, but if we are talking things like about things like remedies for astrology, which do exist, I don't often prescribe them, but I have to my clients who really need it. I do palm reading when I really need to, um, and I give sometimes a mantra when I really need to, because again, it's tied to a whole bunch of Vedic sciences as a whole, right? Like Ayurveda, Ayurvedic medicine, what you eat, what you say, like mantra is what you say, audiological remedies that is possible, and it helps. That's why in the Hindu culture we've got thousands of mantra for various situations. If you're not married, you can get married. If you don't have a child, you can get a child. You have no job, you can get an income. If you want to climb the corporate ladder, there is a mantra for that, but it's repetition and all. Anyway, more to the point of this video is how to establish a lagna so that you can ascertain all the other houses and what the person's karma is. Because first house is most important. Palm reading is one of the ways I use. And I hope you found this video useful, at least to give you an understanding that I use several tools sometimes. And I wish you all the very best. To leave a comment, hit like and subscribe, and I hope to see you all again soon. Thank you, everyone. God bless.